welcome to Windy City Fantasy Football.
Look who I found.
I'm back. Hi. Had a couple rough weeks, so took a little time off, but I'm back. Just like my fantasy team, I'm back. Yeah, okay, it might have been a 1 week blip.
Okay, well.
All right, well, week 10 is in the books.
Mm-hmm.
So we are getting down there in the number of games that we have left before the playoffs start.
We have 2 regular season games left.
Yes. So, so we'll just go and review last week's winners. Jen is back. I beat Lindsay. Neither of us are going to be in the playoffs, so it doesn't matter, but a win's a win. Samuel won. Austin won. Sue won. And Jameson beat Matthew.
Yep, that happened.
Which makes that playoff actually more tight, more interesting. So we have this week and next week, right? And then the playoffs, or this week and then 2 more weeks.
Well, this is week 11. Then there's week 12. And this is all wrapped up by week 14. So, this week, we have next week, week 13 the playoffs start, and week 14 is the championship game.
I thought there was one more week. Sorry.
Nope.
All right. Well, then Jameson has one more game to win, and Matt has one more game to lose. Otherwise, the standings will be Sam versus Matt in round 1, and Sue versus Michaela. But Jameson is threatening to overtake that 4th wild card spot, if you will. I wanted to point out, this is silly, just looking so my brother and I were talking, and he was making fun of me for only having 2 wins. And I said, but I don't feel like it's only been 2 wins. So I did a little research, and the people with the most points are not the people that are going into the playoffs. Right now in our fantasy, there is 4 teams that have over 1,000 points going forward. It is Sam and Michaela, obviously the 2 of the top people in our league, and Jenn and Lindsay, so 2 of the more bottom people. So I just want to say that we had unlucky weeks because our players really did well. We scored a lot. We just didn't win. So telling you, Jenn and Lindsay, we should be overtaking in the playoffs. But them's the breaks. It goes by your record. Much like real life playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's insightful.
I just thought it was an interesting tidbit. So, there you go. I've missed doing this segment. Booms, busts, and big outs. The booms, David Johnson finally had a good game. First time this year. Jameson's number 1 pick. Got him some points. Nick Chubb, the Browns tearing up the Falcons. Ouch. Trubisky and Allen Robinson had a good game.
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey had a good game. for the Panthers. Leonard Fournette had a good game. Sue's number 1 pick. Tyreek Hill, those Kansas City Chiefs.
It's Fournette with, I think Austin has Fournette.
Does he? I thought it was Sue.
Sue's got Saquon Barkley.
Yep, you're right. I don't know anything. See?
Well, just...
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
For those Kansas City Chiefs. Zach Ertz had the best game of his season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Zeke Elliott and the Cowboys in their barely win on Sunday. The busts were Andy Dalton. The Bengals got shredded. Tom Brady and the Patriots lost to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah. That happened.
Yeah. The Jets defense was terrible. Want. That was my defense.
I don't even know if we can consider the Jets to be a bust anymore. They started off really well, and maybe they've had 1 or 2 games against bad opponents.
Their defense has been stellar all season, and this was not.
Okay.
They didn't show up versus the Bills, much like the Vikings, I guess. Didn't show up versus the Bills. Jarvis Landry, O.J. Howard, and Jimmy Graham did not have good weeks.
Nope.
Big outs. Sorry for the Rams fans. Cooper Kupp out for the season.
Mm-hmm.
So that one could hurt. Luckily, Mr. Goff has some other threats. But Cooper Kupp was definitely one of his main targets. Des Bryant is out for the season.
That was short-lived.
Yeah.
He signed a contract on Monday, and by Tuesday he tore his ACL and was out. So the Saints picked up former Bear, former Seahawk, former Giant, former Denver Bronco, former Miami Dolphin, Brandon Marshall. So we'll see what happens there.
And Martavius Bryant also out for the season.
Yeah, the Raiders.
Other week-to-week ones to watch were James Conner had concussion, Marvin Jones, Julian Edelman, and then Jakeem Grant and Devontae Parker are on the same team. Anyway, they both got hurt, I guess, within a couple plays of each other. May or may not be back.
Yeah, there's somebody you forgot on your big outs. AJ Green. AJ Green is out for a couple weeks with I believe it's a shoulder injury. Or is it's either a shoulder or a foot. Shoulder or a foot. You know, two things that are very close to one another.
Yeah. He wasn't on my list, so sorry.
Meh.
ESPN did not find it worthy of a news story. So, the Thursday games, which are happening right now,
they're in progress.
Is the Pack versus the Seahawks. So some good players there.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got a couple of people who have players on those teams, so we'll have a better idea as to who's going to have points coming in to after that game.
Hey, Matt, what's the Sunday night game? Is it anything we should know about?
Not at all. It's nothing important. Don't bother. It's nothing anybody should really be mindful of or paying attention to. No, this is where the Windy City League, obviously, we're going to find out whether or not the Chicago Bears are for real or not this season. They play the Minnesota Vikings at home. The game was flexed from a noon game to prime time on Sunday. So, fingers crossed. The Bears... I think the Bears have a little bit of the edge because the Vikings' offensive line is kind of dinged up and not very healthy. So I think the Bears' defense will be able to put a little bit of a hurt on the Vikings this week. And if they can win this, it'll go a long way to them being able to win the division, which would be a lot of fun. I haven't seen them do that since, well, it's been a while. I think 2005 was the last time they did it. So, yeah, Chicago is excited.
Out of reverence for the Bears, I am not starting the Vikings defense this week. That's my contribution.
Okay. That's interesting. So that means you got to start the Jets?
Nope.
Who's your other defense?
The Redskins.
The Redskins?
Versus the Texans. Which would be my quarterback and 2 of my wide receivers. But you know, I am betting on Fitzmagic instead.
Ooh. Well.
Again.
We'll see what happens.
I just got my 3rd win of the season, so, you know, definitely do what I say. The Monday game also has strange implications. Kansas City and the Rams were supposed to play in Mexico. The players decided that the turf was unsafe.
Well, the report was that there had been a number of concerts and events that were happening at the stadium in Mexico City where the game was scheduled to be played, and the turf was completely tore up and destroyed, and they didn't have enough time to replace it before Monday night. So they're going to play the game in LA, which
has an air quality at the moment that is like one step above black lung. But yes, they're going to play the game in LA.
The current wildfire situation in California has left the LA area in unhealthy air quality territory. Hopefully by Monday that's not a concern. It was a concern for last Monday night's game with the Giants and the Niners, but hopefully we'll see that better, and we won't have to worry about that being a problem. The teams can play a game without having to worry about that.
I did see a picture of the field today. We were watching Highly Questionable, and they had a picture of the field, and it did look pretty rough. I'll give them that. It was pretty rough, and you could see where they tried to patch in the patches of grass, and it didn't want to do that. So. Week 11 matchups. Some of these are going to be big ones and some are not. Sue versus me. I am just playing for my pride at this point, so I want to take down Sue. Sam versus Lindsay. Austin versus Craig. Another one that's playing for pride. Jameson versus Emily. So if Jameson wins, could be a big one. And Matt versus Michaela, which is big on multiple levels because it's the whole siblings and 2 playoff people.
Yeah, and it could be a thing.
Here, Mommy.
Thanks.
Why don't you turn around and say hi to everybody?
Special guest star, once again, our little trooper.
Our little trooper. Trooper's right here.
Yeah, that's the kitty trooper. You're our little trooper.
Our trooper's right there.
Yes.
Let's say R2.
R2.
R2. R2's over there.
Mm-hmm. Who's that?
Daddy.
Who's this?
Mommy.
Who's that?
Trooper.
Who's this?
Addie. Let me see that.
Let me
All
see
right.
that.
Well, that's about all we got time for tonight. We got to get this little guy to bed. 'Cause
Again.
it's past your bedtime.
And we've tucked you in twice.
Yeah, so let's say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody. I'm going to take that for now.
No.